Welcome to the Yankee Cowboy Podcast, coming to you from Dallas, Texas. Here's your host, Tim Wilkins.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Yankee Cowboy Podcast. Today's topic is another good one. It's an awesome one. It is the one and the only. We're going to be making our picks, my personal picks, of the NFL season. And last but not least, guys, we're going to go over just the outlook of the season. And I think universally, hold on one second here, I think universally, the team that I'm about to put this hat on for is going to be pretty bad. That is the New England Patriots. So, let's get right down to it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode. And I hope everyone had a great week going into the NFL season. We had the last of the preseason. And it's really important that we generally kind of go over our picks here. I think we as a collective can kind of go over some things and talk about them in a proactive manner. And I think universally, let's have some fun, and I'm going to go through each of the divisions, make my picks and make my selections known, and fall where they fall. I think universally that collectively, we're going to have some good times here in the NFL that it's paramount to understand the collective of what the NFL season is. Obviously, it is the greatest sport in the United States of America. So let's get right to it, shall we? Now, if you look at the divisions, I'm going to go the NFC first and the AFC second, and I'm going to close out with the AFC East. Okay. So, a couple things foremost, that I really want to specify here is going into week, we can go team schedules, we can go by standings, which I'm going to actually do here. I'm going to open these up here on my screen here so I can kind of give you guys kind of an outlook on what I expect, realistically. Like, I think if you just kind of go through the onset of what the NFL season is, it is really, you're going to see both your division rivals twice, and you're going to have some out of conference games that are going to be really good. And I think, collectively, okay, week one, let's just go through the week one schedule really quickly. It's Kansas City and Baltimore starting off the season. And, I cannot explain how awesome the next game is with Green Bay and Philadelphia in Germany. That's a really strong matchup as well to watch. And if you guys haven't gotten your Sunday NFL game ticket yet, go ahead and work through that with YouTube. YouTube is actually pretty cost affordable. And if you're an NFL fan that maybe you live in a different market and your team's not in your same market you live in, and you want some exposure, also, you can spend some extra money. I think it's like $10 more a month. You can get NFL Red Zone as well as a part of the package. And it's something that I think will make the Sunday NFL experience pretty good for you. So let's kind of go through this. My picks are pretty straightforward if you ask me about who I take away of being a dynamite player in the NFL this season. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are the reigning and defending champions. Last time I checked. Maybe not. That's a good question. Yeah, that was a 38-35 against the Philadelphia Eagles. In the 2024 matchup, hold on. And that was the Kansas City Chiefs against the 49ers. So, reigning and defending NFL champions are the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to go NFC first. Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Commanders. Storylines there for the NFC East is pretty self-explanatory. The Dallas Cowboys are self-destructing amongst themselves. It is arguably probably the biggest dumpster fire there is this season. CeeDee Lamb signing, Dak Prescott signing, the list goes on and on. But historically, the Dallas Cowboys are a cheap organization when it comes to high-ranking players and paying them accordingly to what the market value is. The dumpster fire continues with the New York Giants organization. The Philadelphia Eagles will probably come out and be pretty competitive this season. The Washington Commanders are actually in a rebuild still, and I suspect them to actually continue driving a pursuit to be competitive this season. So my big takeaway is I think Philadelphia will win this division, mainly due to a lot of the off-the-field issues of the Dallas Cowboys. And if the Cowboys do win the division, it's not for the lack of – it's only for one reason only. It's the Philadelphia Eagles didn't secure the division. NFC North, Chicago rebuilding itself around Caleb Williams, the Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. Arguably, what we saw was probably one of the biggest rebuilds in the United States of sports, with known sports entity known as the Detroit Lions losing every single year up until last year and made themselves a playoff contender. I suspect that's going to be the same way, and I suspect that's going to just continue to reign supreme. I think Chicago will probably finish second in the division, maybe third at the worst. The worst is going to be the Minnesota Vikings with their quarterback play that they have. Unfortunately, they did sign Justin Jefferson, and the rookie quarterback out of Michigan, I believe, is going to be sidelined for the season. So Minnesota is going to have to deal with a veteran quarterback that's known to be a backup asset at best to lead the realm. And I don't see them doing really well. Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love is going to be doing Jordan Love things, but I don't see them staying out of the dumpster. So it's going to, I suspect them to finish, towards the bottom. I think Chicago has a lot of opportunity to grow in that division, depending on how they perform. Obviously, their schedules are going to be really, really tough in the division, but outside the division, it's going to be determined on whether or not they kind of keep pushing forward. So Chicago, I think, is a team to look for this season, as well as Detroit. If Detroit can still hold on, it's going to be very interesting to see down the stretch. NFC South, the Saints, the Buccaneers, the Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, all in that division. I still see Carolina not performing well down the stretch here. I see them being towards the bottom of the division. The Atlanta Falcons, I see with the amount of money they spent on the defensive side of the ball, and also some of the money they spent on the offside of the ball, the offensive side of the ball as well, that they can really truly be players down the stretch here. I see them finishing potentially in the lead of the division. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still going to be pretty powerful in the division, and they continually push towards that division. So, really, that division's pretty wide open, actually. I would say the NFC South is arguably probably the most up for grabs opportunity there is. The NFC West, that's a 49ers division. The Rams are still on a collective bargaining rebuild because the amount of money and trade assets that they gave away over the years to get to the Super Bowl, I don't see that team performing well. I do see the Seattle Seahawks continually making strides to do well, but I don't see them getting out of that bottom of the barrel situation that they have themselves in, and I still see them finishing third in that division. So, big takeaway is who's my top four teams. It's going to be the Eagles. It's going to be the Bears and maybe the Detroit Lions. Buccaneers and Falcons will be up there. And, of course, the 49ers and the Rams will compete for the division down the stretch. It very well could be. It could be flipped. It could go Seattle. It could go Arizona. It could be anything. The West, the NFC West is a very, very powerful division for the 49ers, but it'd be interesting to see if there might be two teams coming out of that division. Now, so the four teams really, Eagles, Lions, Falcons is going to be my NFC South choice, and the 49ers. Now, AFC East, the American Football Conference. You have the AFC West, the reigning and defending Kansas City Chiefs are from that division. I hold them to be pretty much in control of that division, and that's pretty much going to be that way all year. I do see the Denver Broncos coming back and making a very strong charge with Bo Nix and doing well. I believe the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be towards the bottom of that division. Los Angeles Chargers, I see them finishing third, behind the Broncos and the Chargers, and behind the Broncos and the Chiefs. Listen, the Broncos might be in dead last too. Who knows? But I will say this: the Chiefs are going to be powerfully in control of that division. The AFC South is pretty much, I would say, kind of it's somewhat determined, but not so much. The Indianapolis Colts with Anthony Richardson is going to try to make a comeback after being hurt last season and hopefully guide that team back to the top of the AFC South. The Stroud House, better known as CJ Stroud, and the Houston Texans are hoping to stop them there. Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, roughly still considered to be pretty much all over the place on results. So I don't see them doing as well as in the years past. I believe the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts will be fighting for the top spot in that AFC South down the stretch, ultimately leading to the Houston Texans winning that division. Great team there in Houston. The AFC North is arguably probably the most competitive division in the NFL. The Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cincinnati Bengals. You have Joe Burrow, arguably two quarterbacks between Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson. Arguably the most competitive division there is in the NFL, based on talent alone. I still feel the Ravens are obviously going to have a run for their money here in this division with the Cincinnati Bengals, with Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow with Lamar Jackson. That's going to be interesting. That division is going to be very close to call, but personally, I can see the Baltimore Ravens pulling ahead in that division against the Cincinnati Bengals down the stretch in the season. And I truly don't believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers' experimentation with two quarterbacks that are really good quality quarterbacks, that experiment works out. I truly just don't believe that to be the case. I think there's going to be that's going to be a distraction point for the Pittsburgh Steelers down the season, and Mike Tomlin could very well lose his job if there is not some ramifications down the stretch here. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, that's going to be the division to watch all year, to see how that back and forth pendulum swings throughout the year. Now, the next division, arguably, as a New England Patriot fan, my entire life has been reigned and won by New England Patriots. Now, we saw a huge offseason of multitude of just ups and downs. Bill Belichick resigning from the organization and leading in a new era of leadership in New England, which is very difficult to watch. If you ask me as a New England Patriot fan, it was Bill Belichick's front office decisions that allowed us to maintain that long years of dominance, not just in the AFC East, but throughout the NFL. How to make the AFC Conference Championship and then the Super Bowl time and time again with some of these no-name players. They were no names at the time, but became household names. Very well, this division is going to run through two teams. And one of them is going to be Miami, and the other one's going to be New York. The problem that I really didn't wish I could say that, because I hate the New York Jets with a passion of many, many thunders, is that Aaron Rodgers didn't have himself an opportunity to have a year because of his injury. Him coming back and arguably could potentially have a really good year. Miami has some unfinished business. The Buffalo Bills, I believe, are in a downtrend this year. And New England Patriots, I do not see winning more than 7 games. I see them winning less than that, actually. So, with that being said, in the AFC, my picks are the Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens, the Houston Texans, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Ultimately, I still see the Kansas City Chiefs representing the AFC, and I see either the Eagles or the 49ers representing the NFC. So, those are my picks. I hope you all appreciate me on my journey here, talking about sports and tomfoolery. I'll be back next week for another good times. We're going to be talking about probably NASCAR. Heading into we got the playoff implications down in Darlington. And being a deciding race. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to all of you. Hope everyone feels free to have a great weekend. Feel free to engage me on social media and all the platforms. Yankee Cowboy 27 on the X platform, on Instagram, and as well as this. If you want to follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube, feel free to do so. YouTube is another platform where you can guys get your opportunities to listen when new episodes are posted. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. It's the Yankee Cowboy signing off.